So I just watched this thing on Prime.
Mm-hmm.
It stars David Tennant. It's a BBC thing called The Escape Artist. It's basically 2 movies. It's 2 episodes, and they're both an hour and a half each. It's very strange. Like, this could just be, like a Netflix miniseries or whatever. But it was pretty good. And the main takeaway I had from it was that it further reinforced my want, need, and desire to go watch Noah Rabin in court.
Yes. I feel like, when you just watch someone at the top of their game, it's like seeing Barry Bonds in 2003 or like LeBron James in actually there's a bunch of years I could name for LeBron, like that
Sure.
sports nerds will care about, but like I'll say 2016, and then all the people who care about like 2018, 2012, 2009 are going to get mad at me, but still. Yes, it's like that. It's like a cold glass of water at 3 a.m. where you just like, this is the perfect thing for that situation. I think that watching Noah Rabin practice law could bring me to like a sort of bodhisattva-like enlightenment.
It could. It could also just be like, oh, this guy is kind of trash. Like, he's just
What if he's
not
bad?
very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if the magic community is getting stunted on by like a bad lawyer?
Yeah. Honestly, would not surprise me.
That's actually a much funnier outcome. This is the KMBest podcast where we nominally talk about Marvel Snap. I'm KMBest, he's Gerry Thompson, and we have another just perfect fit to talk about. We're going to start with Captain Carter, who has conclusively proven that Marvel Snap is not pay to win by being $10 and not winning games. So, Captain Carter 4-3 ongoing. This is a card that is a powerful card if you fill up the lanes behind it, or the back row as they refer to it, because she gives her power to the cards behind her. That is a really interesting space for a card to be in, because it makes it so that you are almost certainly unable to use her as a lane winner on the final turn of the game unless you are investing further into that spot, which makes 4 a really awkward cost for her. What have your experiences been with Captain Carter, Gerry?
Your Carters cost 4? That's weird. That's so weird.
Skill issue, I know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you should have got the premium super duper season pass, because mine costs 3 a lot of the time.
Yeah, we're probably going to talk about Zabu in a little bit. Let's
maybe. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, I do agree that trying to sandbag Carter and perhaps 2 other things to play behind her for the final turn is a big ask. It is. I've done it. Not often. Not often is it my plan, but when you are doing things like Agamotto and you have bolts of...
Yeah. Balthak.
Thank you. Or maybe you have something like Wiccan or whatever. And, it does make those things a little bit easier. And I like those cards well enough. I have been playing with them. I don't think that they're particularly good, but, they do help do that if you want to. Otherwise, you generally have to play Carter in the second slot and just hope nothing bad happens. Or if it does, then all right, abandon ship. We're going on these other 2 locations. That's where we live now.
4s are generally in a weird spot in Marvel Snap, because it's like when you have Zabu and Sarah in a game, it becomes like a very clear thing where it's like, oh, one of the roles 4s have taken on is that they are the biggest possible thing you can play 2 of on the final turn of the game. And so you have like Zabu, you have Sarah, you have Wiccan, you have a bunch of things like that. And so whenever there's like a lane winning threat as a 4, it tends to get judged by that standard, which is like, oh, I don't have priority. I play Shang Enchantress. I win. Those 4 drops are good enough to win lanes. And we'll cover Enchantress a little bit as well. But this is a card that is sort of explicitly eschewing that, because so much of the value of being able to do that is that they win lanes on their own, and she cannot operate on her own. She requires support, and she requires that support to be played after her, which is a huge ask because it basically means functionally she can't fill that role as a 4-drop, and that because she can't fill that role, that tech is always more effective on her than it is on other 4-drops, because there's no way for you as a Captain Carter player to play around the fact that you need to put her there.
It is very difficult. Two things though. One is I don't think that she requires a ton of support. Like you can just back her up with rocks or whatever in a lot of instances.
But like you
have
to play those.
You do have to play something. That is true. But it could just be ham sandwiches, you know? Ham sandwiches cost some amount of energy, right?
Yeah.
We can't all be wasping. I've not played Wasp this week. You'd be proud of me.
I am proud of you, actually.
What was the other thing? Damn it.
It's cool. No one, it's whatever. We started this podcast with an anecdote about, oh no, damn it. Okay.
I got it.
But I want to talk more, Gerry. Come on.
You will. Give it time. Give it time. You know how many times playing various degrees of ongoing where I have many ongoing cards. Enchantress silences 3 of my cards generally.
Yeah.
Where they have Enchantressed me and I've still won because I play the Carter and it's there, and they're probably going to lose the location if they don't Enchantress that location. But I am threatening 2 locations, Cam, with ongoing things. Yeah. So that is a way to do it, is like, because it is actually siloed to 1 location, you can, in theory, beat them by overloading them.
Yeah, I think that, I guess it's probably time to talk about Enchantress and Super Skrull, which it's almost like those were the 2 cards that came out this week.
Like Super Skrull is harder to overload, let me tell you. But
yeah. Like one of the things that happens in Marvel Snap as a consequence of the release system is that a lot of the time people are far more familiar with the cards that already exist that are good into the cards that just came out. Because a card that just came out requires you to learn things, and playing Enchantress does not. That's actually a very easy thing to do. You've been doing it for 3 years. And so you have this situation where every time a card comes out, whatever's good against it is actually getting a sort of massive buff in play rate, and that makes the card release worse. And this is a sort of known issue of the system. I'm not saying anything groundbreaking here. This is like a very common line of thinking. It's like pretty clear. And so this happening, I kind of wonder to what degree does that impact balance, right? Like, how many times are they willing to walk into this? How many times are they willing? It's like, on the one hand, I do think that they've had plenty of room to make ongoing cards stronger, and it's good that they're doing that. Goliath is a pretty damn strong card. It's good that they're leaning in to like, hey, we have a ton of counters for ongoing. We can make strong stuff happen here while not making it broken. That's good. That's what you want to do. The problem is that what ends up happening is everyone playing the new cards and experimenting gets punished by people playing the tech cards that everyone's already seen for 3 years. And so the game, instead of gaining the texture of the new card, doesn't gain a lot. And it is notably different that Enchantress and Super Skrull, instead of Shang-Chi, are like super relevant. That's different. It's different in texture. It's cool, I suppose. But how long do we think that's going to last? And when it does, will people remember to come back to the ongoing stuff?
Well, it is going to last specifically for this 1 week, at least, because not only was the season pass card an ongoing card, but the card that came out is also an ongoing card that works pretty well with it in a bunch of different decks. And I've been on both sides, and it's honestly been probably pretty close to a 50-50 split, whether or not I'm playing Enchantress stuff or doing ongoing things. And there are definitely people who are just like, I'm just going to play the new cards. I'm going to get my money's worth. Sometimes, we just lose to Enchantress. She just blows up our entire world, and that's okay. I would imagine that is Kahori the next card?
Yep.
I would imagine that when she comes out, people are once again, shiny new thing, gotta try it. And then maybe the Enchantress numbers can go down, and then ongoing numbers can go up, and a little bit of churn, a little bit of ebb and flow. But that is just generally how Snap works, especially when two of the same keyworded card come out. It's Enchantress is going to be everywhere. If you're not playing ongoing, you are playing Enchantress, almost certainly.
I saw some pretty strongly worded complaints from a couple people I'm going to name check about Super Skrull. Less strongly worded was from It's Guest Gaming, who said, look at this new card that just released in picture of Super Skrull, which is like a solid gag, but like it's getting at something there. More strongly worded was from Jeff Hoagland, who said something along the lines of like, whenever this card is good, this metagame fucking sucks. Like, I don't want to put the expletives in his mouth, but that is like the gist of what I took away from the tweet. And it's like, I gotta tell you, I kind of think that Super Skrull is like way more interesting than the other tech cards. Like, I would rather see people playing Super Skrull than Ench Shang. I think he's just a different, more unique kind of card. Like, I think there are ways around him that are not available for like Ench Shang, which are very yes-no.
Well, I think y'all are talking about two pretty separate things.
Oh.
Where like you can be right in that there's a little bit more layers when it comes to Super Skrull, certainly. Where it's like I've played against like Mr. Negative this week with Super Skrull in my deck, and if they just like blindly, okay, I'm gonna Iron Man all these locations and play out my gore and whatever. It's like, you didn't need to put like 150 in every location, right? Because now I just play the scroll and you lose. But they did do that. And it was like, well, there was more texture there, right? Where like they're playing around a non-existent like Enchantress in my ongoing deck or whatever.
Juggernaut or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Versus like the card that could very reasonably exist, which was Super Skrull. But I do think that texture is interesting, but I think that Jeff is also kind of right where like this card is so narrow in application that things have to be kind of shitty in order for you to play it, which means that you're probably also playing it because you live or die by whether or not you draw it. And so all of that rolled up means like, oh, if you're even considering registering this, the gameplay probably sucks, which is that might be right.
Yeah, I can see it. I think the argument against Super Skrull that I find like most compelling is like, this card is only ever going to do something stupid, but like the actual gameplay of Super Skrull, I think is kind of awesome. Like, I played a lot of like mirrors of ongoing decks with both of us having access to Super Skrull, and like playing that mini game is something I had not experienced before. It's like, that's sick. That's really like, okay, who's going to invest where? Who has the cards that actually make this card good? Because it's not just an I win button. It's contextual on like what they're actually willing to play. And so like beating it by investing in power by other means is a real thing. Like playing against a Super Skrull with your ongoing deck, going for a spectrum-based game plan with like stats from Sam Wilson Captain America rather than your typical Iron Man thing. Like that's a really cool thing that provides texture in a way that Enchantress never will. The other compelling argument against Super Skrull to me is that, you know how we talked about like the counterplay to things like 4-drops that are like big ongoings or just big guys being like throw priority, you can play them later, don't get Shang-Chi if you like. He doesn't have that aspect to him, so he's yes no in kind of a different way, where it's just like, does he exist? And no like counterplay or tech card will solve it for you, really.
Yeah. Did you ever play any of the Doom 2099 mirrors where I don't know, I remember this happening at least once, maybe it happened more than once, where like I draw Super Skrull and I'm just like, oh, mash that snap button, because I just have the banger. And then they just never play Doom, never play Iron Man or Blue Marvel or whatever, and I just get cooked. And I drew the card that is like supposed to be good, like I put it in my deck to beat the mirror, right?
Yeah.
See, that sucks. That's stupid.
You think that sucks? I think it's good.
I mean, it is both things. It's like, oh, okay, there are layers here, right?
Yeah.
But like, I don't think my opponent like Gigabrain, like this wasn't like Conquest or whatever, you know, it was just like
they just didn't
random
draw
on
it.
ladder. If you have Doom on 4, you're gonna play it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, like that is, I think, a reasonable thing. All right, you've successfully defended the point. I think I just I thought those were really interesting points where it's just like I find Super Skrull an actively compelling card, but there is something to the idea of like the fact that he is so contextual. While that does make him a more compelling game piece, makes him way more annoying to exist. Is a reasonable argument to me.
I would like it if it wasn't 0 to 100.
Sure.
You know, like it is, the card is binary in its efficacy.
What if it just like had more power? Like if Super Skrull was a 4/4, which I think looking at it, we all agree this card kind of blows even though it's everywhere. Like it's not very good. It's just like there's a shitload of Iron Man, and so you're like, might as well. Like it's like it kind of blows. It's not the greatest card in the world. If it were 4/4, would that make it feel less binary, or would that make you feel worse about seeing it more?
No, it would certainly help. You know, I mean, you could play those games where like my opponent is either playing around me having this, or they simply did not draw their stuff. And so now I have this thing that is not completely embarrassing on stats, you know, like Enchantress, I think kind of went the same way where she was like 4/4 to 4/5 to 4/6 or whatever, you know?
Yeah. They actually had her at 4/6 and they were like, that's way too strong. And they put her back to 4/5 and then they put her back to 4/6 because it wasn't actually too strong. It was just probably like too strong in the context of Series 1 or something.
Was she ever a 4/4?
I think she started as a 4/4 and went to 4/6. That is my remembering of Enchantress way back in the day. It was 4/4, 4/6, 4/5, 4/6.
Got it.
One other thing that I wanted to dive into with Super Skrull that I think is interesting, because it's like you're talking about the 0 to 100 nature of the card, and Jeff's statement that like whenever it's good, the metagame sucks. If those things are related, I don't want to read too far into it, but I kind of wonder if that could be solved by making Super Skrull a more playable card and not a less playable card, right? Like making this card more of an acceptable option to just be a normal card you would put in your deck would make it feel way less stupid when you get blown out by one, because it's like, oh yeah, that card exists. It's a thing. And it's not just like a 4/2, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think Rogue is kind of what you're getting at, where Super Skrull is on one end of the spectrum where it is all. And then if you're not going to do all, you probably just have to do one probably at random, which it also does not always solve the issue, right?
Can I do an aside real quick? This is something that's been weighing on my mind. I've been reading through, like I said, I've been reading through the Chris Claremont X-Men run. I'm in the 200s now.
Let's go.
I've been doing that. Rogue is a member of the team and has been for a long time. Yes, there is a lot of focus on her ability to steal powers, but in a solid 95% of the fights, what she is invulnerable and super strong. Because when she was introduced, I believe she stole the powers of Carol Danvers originally. So she has like Captain Marvel powers, right?
Correct.
I am now mad at the implementation of Rogue. Now I feel like, hey, why is she at 3/2? Like, what is like, why is our girl, who is almost all the time just punching guys, like punching guys, flying around, flying brick type of superhero, right?
Well,
what's going on there? 3/2?
I would say that either you are focusing on the action parts of the panels that she's in or the character parts of the panels she's in, because her character is very largely defined by the fact that she can't touch anyone.
That is true. But like in terms of like, when you say focusing on, I feel like that implies like, you know, a 50-50 split of like, oh, half character work, half flying around and punching stuff. But it's not like that. Like it is like 95-5 punching stuff. Like most of what she does is like flying around and punching stuff. And then like once every 6 issues, she'll be like, I have trauma because my first kiss, I absorbed everything from him. Or like, I have trauma because Captain Marvel lives inside my head.
Well, Gambit's not around yet, right?
Correct. I have not gotten to Gambit yet.
Yeah, I think so. You're Uncanny X-Men, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was in the 300s when I was reading.
Okay.
I think like it's probably like 280 to 350, something
I'm
like
close
that
to there, but I'm not there yet. Yeah. I gotta
and I vaguely remember, granted this is 20 years ago, but like I vaguely remember there being more like rogue Gambit scenes where it's just like, can't touch you, this sucks, like that kind of thing.
Okay, maybe it's just like I'm in the 80s and they just didn't feel like doing it in the Reagan era or whatever. But like it is, there's like a scene where she goes to the gym and the gym owner has purchased the thing that the thing used to work out on. It's called like the workoutalizer or something stupid like that. Like it's very dumb. Exerciseinator or whatever the fuck. And like
very 80s. Yeah.
Yes. And so like the gym owner's like, I did that as a gimmick. Why are you using it, Rogue? And she's just like overhead pressing 50 tons. And it's like, she doesn't get tired for 25 minutes overhead pressing 50 tons. It's very clear that like her power set is not necessarily connected to her ability to steal powers. And like most of the time when it ends up mattering, it's like someone accidentally touches her in a fight and it incapacitates her because she's in the middle of absorbing their personality and it sucks. And so it's so weird to read through this and be like, oh man, my impression of this character was not at all what they actually were for a decade. Just a decade of time.
I think if you... Now, granted, a lot of Marvel Snap cards are like this, where it's like, this is maybe not the best implementation for this character or whatever, especially 3 years down the line where you have more like Rescue. Why isn't Rescue a bounce card?
I actually think Rescue is good design in the sense that you play her and then you play Iron Man. Haha, get it? It's
See, okay, that's another example of this though, where it's like, what defines Pepper Potts' character more?
Right. Yeah.
Is it like her relationship to Tony, or like if you? I might have talked to you about this. I think I was talking to someone else, but like the Black Cat Wikipedia page, like the Marvel Wikipedia page, it is exclusively
about Spider-Man.
Go ahead.
It's about Spider-Man.
No, right? Not even about Spider-Man. It is like describing her in terms of like who she was in a relationship with at the time. It's like those are the only things that define her, is like the dudes that she dated.
Oh god, that's actually so real. I read the Jed McKay Black Cat, so this probably was me you were talking to, because I'm a Black Cat fan now, because I read that and I was like, oh, this is a pretty interesting character. She does cool stuff. And then, yeah, you're like, oh, are there any other good Black Cat stories I can read? And the answer is just no. No. It's just like, absolutely not. And so it's like, okay, all right, I'm glad I got that out of the way. That's very good.
Anyway, if you look at this rogue card, would you say that this like encapsulates the character of Rogue? Like you understand like why this is a rogue card? I think it does to me.
It does. It does work. I just wanted her to be bigger. Bigger 3/4, you know? Beefy. She's flying brick. I mean,
3/4 doesn't feel like she could go 25 minutes on the mega analyzer.
Yeah, like she's but like I don't know. It just feels like she shouldn't have less power than health, or less power than cost. It's just like, that doesn't feel right to me. That feels wrong.
Yeah. I do agree with that.
Like, it sort of seems to imply she's subpar in terms of power. And like, she's like the powerhouse of the team this whole time. Other thing I was surprised in by X-Men is just how long Madeline Pryor is around before we get the reveal of what the fuck is up with that. Like, it's been probably... I don't know how long it's been real time. 7 years of this? Like, it probably, like, when I look at stuff like Madeline Pryor, I'm like, oh, that was like, I don't know, that was probably like a one-off or whatever. Like, maybe this just like, this is a cool thing that happened. And it turns out it was 7 years of buildup to this happening.
That's got to be one of the instances where I'm just like, they didn't know what the hell they were doing. They're like, oh, we killed off Jean. People didn't like it. Let's bring back a clone. They didn't like that.
But like, no, to be clear, not a clone yet. We are not there. Like, she's introduced in like, I don't know what issue, but like, I want to say it's like mid 150s or something like that. I am now at like 220, 230. We're only just getting to like what is Madeline Pryor. We haven't even dove into it really. Like we met Mr. Sinister 10 issues ago, maybe. And so
well, see, that's the thing is like Sinister was not a character, right?
yeah.
So
like they literally just introduced a woman who looked exactly like Jean Grey to be Cyclops' love interest and did nothing with it for like 5 years. That's it. Yeah, they did nothing. Zero things. It's crazy.
No, I mean they had a bunch of stuff like that where it was more so like stingers rather than like, oh, he or she is in every issue. Like, are you ever going to explain her presence? And it's like, no, but it's like, I'm going to maybe spoil you on some stuff. I don't think you care, but
mostly know what happens generally.
So the Summers brothers, Alex and Scott, have a history with Sinister. And like this was teased, I believe, for a very long time. And then before they even like talked about what that actually was, what that entailed, they had like one little bubble where it was Sinister talking about Scott's brothers. And then that also went on for multiple decades.
And that's what, Vulcan, right?
Yeah.
I
stopped reading comics before they ever revealed who that person was. I had to go back and look it up.
That's awesome.
It was like, yeah, he's a space pirate like his dad. Okay, cool.
Oh my god, I hate Corsair so much. I have seen so much Corsair. I hate that guy. Get him out of here. I am so sick of the absent space dad trope. There are so many absent space dads in Marvel. It is so insanely annoying. Corsair, get out. I never want to see you again. Speaking of things I never want to see again, on the topic of Marvel Snap, I want to talk about Zabu. Because I think we have crossed the Rubicon. I think we have crossed.
Oh, we crossed that on day 0. What do you mean?
No, we didn't. Like, I think this was a fine card to have around, and I think it's overstayed its welcome. I think it's just like, I don't want to, I'm sick of 4s being this. We've talked about like how 4s are this in the context of Captain Carter. I'm sick of 4s being this. Make 4 drops cost 4 again. Put a tariff on 4 drops indiscriminately and reciprocally. They have to cost 4 again. We have to go back.
And Canada will pay for it.
They will.
Or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. You knew this was inevitable when the Zabu came out, though, right?
I mean, right. I don't know that I knew it was inevitable. I think there were worlds
more
where
inevitable than Thanos.
I think there were worlds where they didn't make a bunch of crazy good 4s, you know? Like,
yes. There are multiple things in play.
Yeah.
Obviously for Zabu to be I don't want to say like strong or ubiquitous or
ubiquitous
oppressive.
Is the word, I think.
He is kind of all those things. But like there's a lot going on here where it is a 1-2. There are not a ton of great competition in the 1-drop slot.
Yeah.
And there are a bunch of 4s that all do snowbally things, therefore are quite a bit stronger when you play them a turn early as well. And there's like 3 strong 3-drops, really.
And they keep hitting the 3 drops that get too close to 4 power. Like, every time we get, like, a copycat or whatever, right? Like, every time there's, like, 3-5 with upside guys running around, we know those guys are potentially on the nerf chopping block because of what happened in Nocturne, right? Like, whenever, though, there are 3s that are like, wow, this is a really good 3, they're usually that good for a limited amount of time.
Copycat strong, very strong.
Yeah. Great card.
Well, okay, there's
great card.
I was thinking of 3 specifically. There is actually a 4th one as well.
What's your 4th?
Juggernaut was the 3rd after Rocket and Groot, and then Red Guardian.
Sure.
Right.
I think you could argue, you know, Gladiator falls in that group, in my opinion. But like, yeah, like there's some good.
So that's the thing is like, I think if you do something to those 4, then people are like, I guess we're playing Speed and Gladiator or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
but
like
they're fine cards. They are.
they're fine cards.
I'm playing speed now.
But none of these really snowball. I mean, you could maybe make
Yeah.
the argument for Rocket and Groot, right?
You're
And
not
I'm not
getting
saying that they should.
repeatable. Yeah.
I'm not saying you should make 3 drops of snowball. Okay, I just want to be clear. But that's kind of the problem. Is what Zabu does is make 3 drops that snowball. So
Right.
don't
Like
hey,
you.
hey. Don't do that.
They should. What I'm hearing is they should just make Galacta a 3-drop and just cut the pretense.
Yeah, just get the cat out of there.
Yeah, just
right.
Just cut all pretense of this being a balanced game and just be like, look,
cat people are weird, right? People like dog people. Dog people are great. Get a dog in here.
Go get Agent Venom and make it, or go get Anti Venom and make him a 3/5. just rip it. Like
yeah.
No, I think Zabu is probably like not the number one offender. There's plenty of stuff that cheats energy, but he's the guy that does it in such an easy to include way that it basically doesn't even count as investing in it.
Yeah, I mean, you could Psylocke into this stuff, but that's not good. And also,
that's
Zabu
ass.
affects your deck.
It is really worth talking about. Like, the gap between 1/2 and 2/2 is so high. Like,
yeah, of course.
It is massive. Like, I know it sounds like, oh yeah, obvious or whatever, but it's like, in order for Psylocke to be Zabu good, she'd probably have to be like a 2/4.
Yeah, I mean, like, she's still only effectively reducing the cost of one of your cards. So yeah.
And so it's like, wow, that's just like the fact that you just get to do that forever. It's just like, oh man, turn
one, I wasn't doing anything anyway.
Yeah.
I had Zabu, and that was it.
Like there are 2 canaries in the coal mine here, and I think the first one is we just talked about a vast increase in Enchantress, a vast increase in Super Skrull. All of those are 4s, so they're driving this to some degree. But like you're seeing decks that are just like Enchantress, Super Skrull, or not Enchantress and Super Skrull most of the time, but like Ench Shang, Galacta Gwenpool, maybe another 4, Zabu. And it's like that to me is just like, whoa, you can't do that. Like that you gotta stop that. And then there's like the Afflict deck, which is Anti-Venom, Laufey, Man-Thing, and also the other card whose name I'm Malekith. Male Keith, as a member of my chat called him yesterday. This is a
Male Kithkin. Yeah,
the thing about it that gets me there is like Figure of Destiny. This is a card that does not want. This is a deck that doesn't want to be stuck on 4s. Like it doesn't want to do that. If one of those cards cost 3, it would love that. It would be so cool. So it plays Zabu so that one of those cards costs 3 some of the time. Like that's literally it. Like if there was like 3/5 AV, it would be like not even a problem. Like it would just be like, oh yeah, that'd be great. We'd love that. And like, I don't know. I'm not saying let's
do that. Let's make that card.
I'm gonna call up Glenn. Hey Glenn, I've got a great idea for Anti-Venom.
No, Anti-Venom 2. The Last Dance.
This one is Agent Anti-Venom, just to confuse people even more on the name. Who, by the way, real character, Agent Anti-Venom, Flash Thompson.
I thought he was Anti-Venom.
Yeah, guess what? He's also Agent Anti-Venom.
What? How can he be
It's a different symbiote, dude. Come on, get with the program.
Okay.
It's just Flash. That's the agent part with a different symbiote, the Anti-Venom symbiote.
There were a lot of symbiotes in that Venom movie I just watched.
You watched that movie? How'd that go for you?
Oh yeah, dude. It killed a couple hours. It was great.
I feel like the one thing the Tom Hardy movies get right about Venom is that he's goofy. Like he's just kind of like the archetypal Venom panel to me is him next to Spider-Man singing "Strangers in the Night." Like that's the archetypal Venom panel to me, because that's him. He's kind of a goofy dipshit, right? He's supposed to be like the inversion of Peter Parker. Peter Parker's humor is such an important part of that character. Having Venom also do that kind of stuff, but like weird, is a good, like, that's good. That's a really good thing to do.
Yeah, it's like Deadpool-y but bad.
Yeah, it's like sort of explicitly bad though. Like it's bad on purpose, because it's like an AI trying to do jokes, right? Like he doesn't get it. Like that's
no, you're right.
Like that's why it's supposed to be like that. It's like an alien intelligence trying to like do stand-up comedy. It would be weird. It would be weird and off-putting. And so it is weird and off-putting. Like that's a weird ass thing to do. What the hell are you doing, man? And
how
like
did they managed to write that so realistically?
I think they got it back. I think they just kind of lucked into it. Like, I think they
insist on calling it luck.
I think they just kind of lucked into it, but yeah.
You could also call it a lack of skill, probably.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
because I also watched the Craven movie.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
They're both on Netflix.
Any thoughts?
Heinous.
I haven't watched it. Should I watch the Craven movie? Sounds like a good idea.
People clowned on Madam Web. I think that was the best of the three.
Her web does connect us all.
Yeah, well, that was the trailer. That's the trailer's fault. You know,
her web, it connects us all. It does. It. I don't know who convinces them these movies are good ideas. Like,
I don't know.
Craven has one good story, and it explicitly involves Spider-Man. Like, explicitly. It's Craven's Last Hunt, and it's where he hunts Spider-Man and then becomes Spider-Man. It's like a incredibly famous comic story. It is the number one thing anyone who knows anything about Craven will talk about. They don't have the rights to Spider-Man, and they're like, we're doing Craven.
Would you write Craven as not even an anti-hero, but just like a hero?
I would not do that, no.
Oh, that's what they did.
That rocks.
It was really bizarre.
I was a big fan of what they did in the Ultimate Universe, 1610, the old Ultimate Universe for Craven, where he was basically just Steve Irwin who hunted humans. Like, he had a reality show, and his motivation was getting the reality show into syndication, and he shows up after Spider-Man defeated Doc Ock to be like, I'm hunting Spider-Man, and gets like one-tapped, and then his show gets canceled, and that's the only thing he does. That's the extent of Craven in that universe. It's so good.
That is gas.
He's so sick.
I just wanted to be an influencer so badly.
Yeah, he wanted to get the Seinfeld money. They explicitly call it Seinfeld money. Like, it's like
damn,
they cooked, man. It's so good. But yeah, like I would imagine those were dog shit. Yes.
That's talking. I don't know, like that whole premise, and then also talking about the Seinfeld money is very what if to me. I also watched that.
We're gonna get Seinfeld money Craven variant.
Oh God, no.
He has 17 power and he costs 17 and his power is 38.
I don't get it. Jerry
Seinfeld dated a 17-year-old when he was 38.
Oh.
There's no punchline there. He just did that.
Yeah.
Like, he just actually, that's a thing that Jerry Seinfeld did. You can Google it. That's freely available information. It is like, it was reported on in newspapers. They were called like lovebirds. Weird dude. Put it that way.
I'm sure they referred to her as a 17-year-old woman.
Yeah, paramour perhaps. But yeah, no, he like picked her up at high school and stuff. It's weird. It's a weird story. But I think zooming out from that,
Zabu. Let's call it Craven.
Yeah.
Get him to hunt Zabu.
We gotta get Craven into syndication so he can go be creepy.
Dude, him hunting Spider-Man, that can't be the pilot, dude. That's your season finale.
No, it was. It was like no. He was like 67 episodes, and he needed 100 to get to syndication. This is actually the plot. He needed like to
Oh,
get to
okay.
100 to get into syndication. He's like, the ratings are still good, but we got to make sure we get a gangbusters one to keep the train rolling, because then when we get to syndication, we'll get Seinfeld money. And so this is like episode 67. He came to town, he hunts Spider-Man, he goes to their high school, he like sniffs everything. He just like walks around going like, and he just gets one tapped and his show gets canceled, and he basically never shows up again. It rocks. Like, that's Craven. They decided to make a movie out of that guy.
He was doing a lot of Seinfeld-esque things.
Yeah, he did go to a high school. That is true. He definitely
started sniffing on things.
Yeah, no, maybe they were making a subversive commentary on the nature of age imbalance relationships with Hollywood stars. I doubt it. I think they kind of lucked into that one.
What sort of commentary would you have on this Kitty Pryde thing you sent me?
I don't even know what Kitty Pryde thing I sent you. Was it the one where they have like Kitty's costume corner, but they spell it with 3 Ks?
Yeah.
She has like every 20 issues for like a solid, like, it only happened a couple times, so like basically between like 150 and 200, she's got a solid run of like gamer moments where
heated gaming moments.
Yeah, just some heated gaming moments from Kitty Pryde, where like she's always trying to make the point that discrimination is wrong, but in trying to do so, she uses words that she absolutely should not be using in any way. And in the middle of this run of gaming moments, they did a little panel talking about, you know, the changes to her costume and her redesign, and they decided to call it Kitty's Costume Corner with 3 Ks, which is just like, I don't know why you'd walk into that one. Like, I just feel like you gotta... Someone had to look at this and be like how many people had to look at that and be like, yeah, sure, that's fine. Like, and no one was like, probably a bad idea.
Her last name is Pryde.
Yeah.
I do just want to point that out. Like, I feel like it might have been on purpose.
I can't imagine that was on purpose. Like, she's like,
I don't know.
There's like a plot line where she goes to a Holocaust memorial with Magneto and like meets people that her grandfather knew in the camps. Like, Kitty Pryde is woke as shit. Like, Kitty Pryde is unbelievably woke. She just has heated gaming moments. Like, I don't really know what else to say. That's how she's written. And it's just like, it's very odd.
I hate discrimination so much that I use exclusively slurs to communicate.
It's
like what?
It's so weird. Like it's just I get that they thought they were trying to make a certain point, but I don't think they made that point. And if you thought you were making that point, why would you ever put Kitty's Costume Corner on this page? It's so insane. Anyway, yeah, that rocks. Let's divert from Zabu and talk instead about Goliath a little bit, who I think have probably under-discussed relative to his general impact.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. So, like, there are some decks that are playing Carter, maybe not good ones, but, like, play Carter that are not super, like, hardcore in the ongoing thing. But I think a lot of the good decks are playing Goliath and not Carter.
Yeah, like, part of it is that, like, 2-drop ongoing is just something they want. And the other part of it is, like, he's just pretty big. Like, people ask about, like, should I get Goliath? And the answer is, if you want to play any deck built around ongoing cards, and I don't mean, like, a deck that has ongoing cards. I mean a deck built around ongoing cards, you're going to want Goliath.
Yeah. Why would you not? It costs 2. You have a distinct hole in your curve at that spot. Like, you have Sam. To some degree, you have, like, Ravonna or Gorgon or whatever, but like
Dazzler, baby.
Dazzler, yes. You would prefer to have Goliath, absolutely. And like Dazzler and Sam do a pretty good job of going tall. Goliath does a very good job of going tall.
Yeah, like in Thanos, I think that Dazzler outperforms Goliath a decent amount of the time, but
sure.
That's like a Thanos deck. In every other ongoing deck, like, this guy's just your guy. Like, he's just there. Yeah. Like, it's just what he does. And again, he is sort of archetype limited. I keep struggling to come up with a good example for what this card is, but I think the best I can do is just, like, Gilgamesh, where it's like, are you going to play Zoo without Gilgamesh? You're not. You're not going to do that. You're just not going to build that deck if you don't have Gilgamesh. And like Goliath is like 10% less required for whatever ongoing deck. There are more things you can replace him with because his impact is lower. So I haven't found a perfect comparison, but like that's sort of the range. Like he's just a card that will always be a great option in any deck built around this mechanic, basically.
Yes. And I think that there are issues with the mechanic that we are seeing where it's like two ongoing cards came out, everyone's playing Enchantress. You are not necessarily going to climb as much as you might otherwise think, having acquired two new cards that both fit into the same deck. But I think that as long as you are okay with this card being good, like every couple of weeks with like a really bad week in between or whatever, then yeah, like he's your guy.
Yeah, he's just a very solid card where it's like, if you don't have a lot of cards in Marvel Snap, you probably want to target like deck build-arounds a little more than a card like Goliath. You want to target like the things that are truly elite and the things that unlock a lot of decks for you. But I guess maybe the analogy is like Anti-Venom, where it's just like, if you're playing this kind of deck, you're going to get this guy. You're just going to do that.
Yeah, I think he's more replaceable.
No, you say that, but like people are playing non-anti-venom afflict decks right now because they're also playing no Luke Cage because of the Super Scroll stuff. So I think like demonstrably he's kind of less replaceable actually.
Yeah. So okay, look, if you cut anti-venom, I would hope and assume that you lower your curve a little bit.
Yeah, you like, cut anti-venom and you're like you're a high Evo abomination deck mostly.
Does it actually lower the curve?
In function, yes, because you're also like, the way it works is like you cut anti-venom, you cut Malekith, you cut Man-Thing, you mostly run as your 4 Laufey and High Evo, and then you have Ajax and A-Bomb, and then everything else is 3s and below mostly.
Okay.
So like that's what the decks tend to look like, where they're just like, that's the top end, here's the bottom end. And so like they look like that without AV in them. It's a very different and more all-in type of build, but I do think it plays. And like, even if you put Luke into the deck once people stop playing as much Super Scroll, that's like that version, the High Evo Abomination, has never been that much worse than normal Afflict. It's just that there's rarely a reason to choose to play it over normal Afflict. And we finally have one because Thanos exists and really hates getting hazmated, and 3 giant idiots are pretty good there.
Yes. Hates getting Laufey too, honestly. But
yeah.
The Super Scroll Luke Cage thing. You brought that up to me. I was immediately like, that seems silly.
I had the same reaction.
Which decks have Super Scroll in them, right? And also, it's not like Luke is a thing that you just run out there as soon as possible, unless you have nothing else to do, right? But you could simply not play the card.
That is what I ended up doing.
May have a Super Scroll.
Yeah, I just played normal Afflict. Like, I saw everyone playing this version, and I was like, okay, I mean, this is pretty cool. And then I played it, and it was like, I'm playing a lot of mirrors, so why don't I just play normal Afflict, and then my Luke Cage is goated. And then if I run into the matchup with the Super Scroll, I just don't play the card, and we're probably fine.
I think so. I think that is probably the way to do it. I think they might have cooked a little too hard.
I don't know if it's like overcooking per se. It's just like, I'm a lot more willing, I think, than other people to just be like, well, if that's how it works, I'll just play around it. I think if you're like, part of the environment that Marvel Snap lives in is like an environment that I would describe, I think, probably fairly, is like relatively low skill compared to other card games. Like, the discourse is dominated relatively by people who are worse at the game than, say, Magic, right? And I include myself in that, right? Like, you're better at Magic than I am at this. Objectively.
Sure, but like, who is the me of Snap or whatever?
Obviously me, Jerry. Come on.
Right. So then we're
Uh,
the same. So it doesn't matter.
no, because you're better at. There is no
Also, like,
you, but if there was,
sure.
that's sort of where I'm at.
Well, it sounds like you're saying the discourse is all people who do not have a ton of talent, and therefore you should not listen to any discourse.
No, what I'm saying is that like the discourse is mostly going to be people like one of the things that really bothers me in content creation is where a content creator, and this is like a really common thing, they'll be like, here's a turn by turn guide to this deck. And anyone who's good enough at card games knows that that is dumb as shit. That is just not a real thing. That context is literally everything, right? Like that is just like a pretty baseline. You are good enough at card games to know that not every game is supposed to look the same. And the way in which you approach certain things, especially in a game like Marvel Snap, where there are 3 lanes, so the decisions are going to be very different, that is not a useful heuristic, right?
Dude, you just broke my heart.
What?
You just dropped something that is worse than sideboarding guides.
What you're saying is people should be charging $10 for it.
Yeah. I mean, at least in Magic, it's like, oh, well, maybe I can win my RCQ and get some store credit or whatever. So like maybe the sideboarding guide is useful. This thing is like actively not useful.
Yeah.
And also, most people who write sideboarding guides, like they don't have any sort of qualification to be writing those guides and selling them, you know?
I would follow a sideboarding guide in the sense that I don't play Magic and I would like to shortcut that. Like I would do that.
Yeah, no, so that is why I eventually came around to them. Was because not everyone's investment in the game is the same, right? Like people have varying degrees of bandwidth. And also, this is sort of blasphemous, but like maybe Magic is not your number one hobby. Maybe it is not the only thing that you have going on in your life.
Yeah.
Kind of strange, but possibly true for some people.
So does that argument apply here?
No, because this is actively bad.
Yeah, I do think that encouraging people to think in terms of this is making them worse, like rather than making them better.
Also, like, isn't the part of games that is like kind of fun is the fact that like they are kind of replayable because the games are different and like you draw different cards at different times and like different locations pop up, and
it does seem a little counterintuitive. Yes, I will admit that. I mean, like, there's a reason I don't do them, and it's because I think they're not helpful to people, right? Like, the reason I don't do stuff like that is because I think it gives people an inaccurate understanding of how to play the deck and how to play the game. And at the same time, I can turn around and be like, well, maybe, like, the fact that this stuff is successful, right? The fact that people have an appetite for this means that there is a real appetite for content that not only is like not particularly helpful, but has the ability to make the game easier to understand. Like that is the thing. Like the thing that really like sticks out to me about this is not like, oh my God, people should stop doing this. It's people really want this game to be that simple. The audience for this game really wants to just play. Here's an example. They just want to play Living Tribunal. They just want to play. I'm not thinking about anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm done. Yeah. That's it. And the fact that you can't think about things in those terms, and that zooming a game that is full of incredibly contextual decisions into one that lacks context is going to probably like, I don't know, like, I guess my question is like, does that help people? Are people getting better because of that? Like, do you think maybe it could get some, like, because I don't know. I'm not the target audience. But like, do you think maybe somebody could get from 70 to 80 because of a guide like that? Would that be helpful? Are there people that it's helpful for? And I can only assume the answer is yes, because they want it. And so clearly the skill base for this game is lower, right?
I mean, probably. It's like just because people want a thing doesn't necessarily mean that it is in their best interest, right? Like,
sure.
How many people voted against their best interest, for example? quite a bit.
I've got a thing on that one. A lot of people, I hold on. You invited me to do this. That I hate that sentence for people like, oh, they voted against their best interest. I don't understand why they voted against their best. A bunch of liberals always say that stuff, and they don't understand that it's not about economic interest. It's about advancing social interests at the expense of economic interests. They don't care that their taxes get higher as long as they get all the people they don't like out. Like that is voting in their interest. They don't care about economic policy or tax breaks to the rich because their interests are fully social. Their interests are, I saw a gay person and I don't like that and that scares me and I need to stop it.
Yes, I agree with this, but I think that, I mean, these people are never honest, right?
Sure.
Like they may have even convinced themselves that they're doing it because of the economy or whatever.
For what it's
But
worth,
honestly, I was more so speaking to like people who are Latino or whatever, who are just like, oh, I'm doing this because of the economy, and like we're not going to get deported. We're the good ones.
It'll happen to someone else, not me.
Yeah, like that. That's more so where I'm like, oh.
Well, I think that one is just like they genuinely did think that. Like they straight up did think I'm the good one. It won't happen to me. I follow the law. This is not for me. This is for people who don't follow the law. I'm a member of society. I'm like an upstanding citizen. It's not for me. Like there is this sort of implicit assumption, right? Like
they are still voting against their best interests.
Sure, I suppose. I just like I always think about that and like because it's this thing that like I see a lot of like you know my background, which is to say my family is full of people who are very highly educated professionals. Very, very highly educated professionals. I am easily the least credentialed, maybe the least smart person in my like family. Like it is not a contest. We're talking like upper end of the Ivy League, a bunch of college professor types, like very, very credentialed professionals. And I heard that a lot from them. And it's like, for them, it's like actually confusing. Like it's like, why would you do that? Like, and it's like they don't grasp the scale of the social needs of that voter base.
Yeah, no, I mean, like there are people who will say the economy, right, and they just don't want to say the other stuff out loud, for sure, 100%. Like they are just people who are lying. But then there are people who actually like do believe that like, oh, this is going to be better for the economy, and then it's like, okay, what?
The economy people are really cool because it's like traditionally Republicans have been better for business, like in the sense of like you know, rolling back worker protections and making it easier to fuck people over, right? Like they've been better for big business in a deregulation sense, right? And so there's like this associated assumption that like current Republicans are exactly like that. And so every time Trump talked about the tariffs, everyone was like, he's kidding.
Right.
It's like...
just, okay. Whatever excuse you need to make up or tell yourself or whatever. It's just... Anyway.
The tariff stuff is so cool as like a pretty far leftist because it's like it's another one of those things like USAID where it's like, you know, I wouldn't have done it like this and it's probably bad. But hey, I gotta give it to you. If I wanted to sort of cement the Chinese century, this is like a pretty good policy.
Yeah.
like it's a sick move, dude.
You're like, that's right? My guy right there.
Like it's pretty. It's like, you know, I like as someone who like if you zoom out, it's like, you know, people are people. Who gets to run the world doesn't really matter to me all that much.
You know, I mean, I got favorite like. You ask a parent who their favorite kid is, they might not tell you, but you know that they know they have one.
Right, and in that case, for us, of course, it's glorious leader Xi Jinping. Obviously, that's who we were talking about. Yes, like this is, but yeah, it's like I really like. It is sort of funny that like I have so many actual critiques of the way in which we outsource our abusive workers to people in sweatshops in Vietnam, right? Like. And he just put a 49% tariff on that. It's like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. you probably materially contributed to the closure of some sweatshops here. Like, wait a minute. It's like, yes, it's obviously going to be like pretty bad for me economically. Everything I buy is going to get more expensive. And they didn't do it for reasons involving that at all. They did it because they thought the sweatshop workers were ripping us off. But like, it is just one of those things where it's like, wow, they kind of like backwards their way into like not good policy. It's bad policy. But it's like, oh, I wonder if a sweatshop got closed because of this, you know? Good job.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what happens as a result of that. Like, is that actually good or bad for
I think
people who are
the more
working in
globalist
sweatshops?
you are, the more you'd argue that like the sweatshops are actually good. Like you see that a lot from like globalist people where it's like this is how we get people out of poverty, the sort of economic miracle of the developing world being that the reason they work in the sweatshops is because it's better than the alternative. And it's like, okay, but also they shouldn't be working in sweatshops, right? So like there's not really a good argument for this from a leftist perspective. It's just funny that they got there.
Yes. It's just like, oh, these things are bad, so we're going to close them. It's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but like that's not even why they did it. They did it.
No, I know.
Literally.
I know.
Yeah.
Dude, I know.
It's so funny.
I get it.
It's the funniest shit on earth that they were like, we are getting ripped off by the people we're ripping off.
Like, ideally, you don't pay them pennies. Ideally, it is like, oh, I will build a factory here because it's cheaper and still pay you like a pretty reasonable wage. You know?
But that's not what happens.
No, it never happens, right? Because why the hell would you when you can pay them pennies? But in the absence of that, I think just directly taking away this thing that is a source of income for these folks is probably a net negative for them.
It absolutely is. Like I said, there's not an actual argument for this being good policy from a leftist perspective. This is not like a horseshoe theory thing. It just is kind of funny that they arrived at this because their logic is basically we are getting ripped off by the people whose labor we're exploiting.
Yeah. I mean, what how much better do you want it?
It's like, so cool, man. Like, we're going to bring back the textile jobs. That's what's going to happen. What's going to happen is they're going to bring back the textile jobs, and it's just going to be a bunch of AI running it. And it's like, oh, where are the people going to work? They're not. And also, everything is going to be more expensive. Great job, guys. You really onshored that industry. Great job, dude. But yeah, obviously they're proceeding in a sort of buffoonish and moronic manner, but that's sort of baked in for me. It's just really funny for them to like look at global trade and be like, actually, we're the loser here. This whole system is set up so that we can like order DoorDash. Like we are the reason people in countries all over the world work in sweatshops is so I can wear this shirt. Like, this is the sum total. Our life exists because of the exploitation of these people. And we were like, we need to stop the exploitation of these people, except these people meant us. Like, we're being exploited somehow by this relationship. It's like, all right. It's I would describe it as unsound economic policy. Did you see the formula did you see the formula they put out for like this is how we derived it? It looks
the chat GPT thing.
Yeah. They put out a formula.
Yeah.
This is like one area in which I have an econ degree. I do not use it ever. But the formula was really sick because it was trying to disguise the fact that it was just the trade deficit. Right? Like, these were reciprocal not to the tariffs placed on us, but reciprocal to our trade deficit, meaning that if we import more from them than they import from us, they are getting a higher tariff. So the more we buy stuff from them, the bigger the tariff is, unless they're buying stuff back. And if you think about that for like 2 seconds, it's like, wow, that's dumb as fuck, because there are places that we buy stuff from who can do those things for cheaper than we can, so they're not spending that money on us because we don't produce the things that they actually need. And so that's why Vietnam has like 49% tariffs. Because we buy, textiles from Vietnam, right? Like they don't buy that from us. They make that. And then they go and spend the money on food. That's like, but because they don't import from us, it's like, all right, we got to slap a big tariff on them. And so to justify this, they put out a formula. And the formula looks like really in depth. They're using like Greek characters and designations. Like, let's set like phi equal to whatever like variable of trade that they're talking about, right? But what they did with the formula was to make it look like it wasn't what it is. They added some extra variables that just cancel out and reduce to 1. So like the formula that is actually A over B, they were like, it's actually A plus C over this, which is, and then like A plus C over B plus like D divided by E, which is like equates to C. And so it just ends up being like, it's like very clearly they were like, how do we justify this? And like, how do we make it look like it's actually something that isn't stupid? Very cool. Like, it's just a very, very cool thing to do. As someone with an econ degree, it was nice to see a bunch of bad econ, because I'm very familiar with that. I did a lot of bullshit in undergrad for sure.
I don't even see the need to like justify it. I don't know.
It was from the Twitter account of the Vice, like the undersecretary for like the who's just below the like the vice press secretary, basically. It's like, wow, man, this was a bad job at PR. Like this was like,
yeah,
that was a bad job, dog. You did not do good here.
No, I mean, that's probably it though, right? It's like, oh, we want to put something up, but we don't want everyone to see it because it's pretty bad.
Yep. That's what that guy was doing.
Point to this. Yeah. So it's
Let's
like,
have
hey,
the intern put this one out.
You, Blue Socks, what's your name? Go tweet this.
That is actually probably what happened. That rocks though. Like that was a sick move by them. Like it's been a long time since I've had to look at formulas like that. And it was nice to see one that was like, if I tried to do this in school, I'm a good writer. I can justify a lot of bad shit. If I turned this in pre-Chat GPT existing, I think I would probably still fail. If I turned this in post-Chat GPT existing, I would get a 0 because my teacher would look at it and be like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. This is clearly AI.
Right. You're so like, no, I swear I am just this stupid. How do I convince you?
Yeah, like, I'm good at talking. I did some bad work. I can tell you that I justified by being pretty good at talking and, like, quick on my feet. I've done some bad work in my life. And...
You know how many people have registered Niv Magus Elemental in a tournament? I'm just good at talking, bro.
I own 4, I swear. Although I think I owned them before you, so But yeah, because I think I want to say I had Niv Magus Elementals to play like a kitchen table terrible deck, as opposed to a tournament terrible deck. Very different.
I mean, mine was the Pro Tour, which was like 2 weeks after the set release. So
yeah,
mine was pretty quick.
Maybe.
You had to have been on top. Did you have Ground Rift?
I don't even know what that card is.
Yo, it's the cheapest Storm card.
Oh, phenomenal. I'm assuming it's just like a 1R spell that like Ground Rift. Creatures without flying can't block?
It's R sorcery. Which
Sorry, I
is
meant
maybe
R.
what you meant by 1R.
Yes,
yeah.
That is, yeah.
R sorcery, target creature without flying can't block. Storm, yeah.
Yeah, yep. All right. Hell yeah. Shout out to Ground Rift. That's awesome. Good for you, man. Shout out to Niv Magus Elemental.
Dude, now we got Flusterstorm. I'm just saying, it might be time.
I mean, when is it not?
Let's bring it back.
When is it not time for Niv Magus Elemental? Other than, all of the time.
Every time.
Yeah. Like, clearly it's time. Yeah. Who is the Niv Magus Elemental of Marvel Snap?
I mean, I wanted to say Mr. Negative, but that's like legitimately strong now.
Yeah, it's been a good deck for a while, honestly.
Has been for a while, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like Destroy.
No, because like that one, I don't think
totally
people are like.
counts.
I don't think people are like huffing and cope with destroy. They're just like, I just like taking game actions, you know?
Sure. Okay. There's got to be some
I think
analog.
I think a lot of people could say wasp.
Oh, mill.
Sure. Mill is half of a good deck.
Yeah, it was like a deck people swear is strong and will be good, and it's like consistently. Mill is Jund, but Mill is Jund, not Niv-Magus Elemental.
It's Jund when you have to play a bunch of like poopy cards to make a Tarmogoyf, you know? It's like 3 ground rifts and a trench coat, and now I have a Tarmogoyf.
Hey, so maybe it is Niv-Magus Elemental. I don't know. But yeah, I think Marvel Snap on the whole, we don't play too many doggy ass decks for a while. Oh,
Cerebro, easy Cerebro.
Ah, yeah, there it is. Yep.
Yeah.
That's it, man. You nailed it. That's gotta be. Man,
Cerebro, any number you pick.
Remember when
Dealer's
they took
choice.
a point off of that card's cost and it didn't do a fucking thing?
And then it's like massive. It's so big.
What if they made it a 1? Do you think people could play it? Is it just
like here's the
it
thing,
doesn't
though.
matter? What if it was just like an ability? What if you didn't even have to put Cerebro in your deck and you just got what if it was like a Commander Eminence ability?
I don't know about Eminence. I know about the fucking avatars that you had. I forget what that format was called.
Oh yeah, on Moto? Vanguard. That's Vanguard.
There you go.
But like Commander Eminence is just like an ability that works in the command zone. You don't do anything to pay for it, it just exists.
Okay. What if Cerebro let you pick the versions of cards that you wanted to play with, even though they had been like nerfed? So like C3 could still play. No, I guess this is a bad example, but like C6 could play. No, this is bad the other way. What if something like got buffed and it hurt them?
Luke Cage any number of times? Like Luke
no,
Cage going from
Cage's
2
number
to 3?
Went down. So like
no,
C3 should not get to play
first.
3/3 Cage.
2/2, right? Was he? Oh my god, he was a 2/3. What the hell were they doing? Jesus. Okay.
That dude, that card was cracked. It was I played that card all the time.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, but yeah, like
you know what I mean? Like say a card is like an X6 now, just like, but my C5 deck, no. Just, okay, let him.
What if Cerebro was like a start of game effect? Where it's like if all the cards in your deck max out at the same cost or whatever, +2 them.
It could do that. It would have to be a slightly different card, and like part of the reason that this works is because you can, in theory, mystique your Cerebro.
Yeah,
right?
That is true.
There would have to be something else.
What I guess what I'm asking is, what is an appropriate requirement for the original data mined Isan? That's kind of what I'm asking. Is like what level of like total dog shit do you have to make the requirement to make Isan be that?
Well, Isan was free 18, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
You draw 9 cards in a normal game.
You draw 9 cards and they all get +2, yeah. But like, how bad would the deck have to be to make that balanced? Like, because like the other thing about Isan was that it was free, right? Like, there weren't really deck building costs associated. You were still playing like 12 good cards, and so how bad would they have to make the cards that you're allowed to play in order to make an Isan type card?
Yeah.
Like, all the cards in this deck have to have the same power, except this is probably bad enough to make that a thing they can do.
It is. I mean, especially since a lot of the stuff is like, oh, I'm going to like Valkyrie or Hawkeye or whatever to get to the requisite amount.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like there's a lot of like manipulation of that in the deck, right? Like C2 playing Blue Marvel, for example, right? They wouldn't even be able to do that if this were the thing.
Yep. I mean, you could probably figure it out, but especially if you lose the repeatability of it, it's like, well, then you probably have to +3 it or something. But that's
still
probably fine because you're C2. I don't know, man.
I do think that like the original Isan concept is fun. The fact that Cerebro sucks is like not fun, but very funny. That it's like there's probably very few cards in the game that I would be like, yeah, you can take another energy off of that card that you already took another energy off of. But Cerebro, it's like if you made that a 1, does that change much? Who gives a shit?
No, it's just that you're playing like C2 or C3. All your things are very small.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, oh, I +4 my stuff, but you +4 it by playing 2 0 power things.
Yes.
Your numbers are still like 20, 20, 10 or something. Like you
Yeah.
top out at 50 total points.
And we definitely can't take power off of Mystique. That can't happen. We can't take energy off of Mystique. I'm sorry, I should rephrase. But like, we could make Cerebro 1 cost. I feel like Glenn Jones.
You could. It doesn't help the deck though. Like you need another.
Which is why you can do it.
Scalar.
That's an argument for doing it. It's like screw it. Some point, it's gotta be fine, right? Like at like Cerebro 1-0. Let's do it. Let's go.
Okay. Sure.
Let's go.
See what happens.
Yeah. Like, what if it's actually good? That would be cool. You'd finally be like,
what if it is cracked, and then they nerf it back to 2-0, and then it's like, oh shit, this has been cracked the entire time.
Just like Nimegas Elemental, that would be expected, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is the expected outcome here. All right, I think we've sort of wound ourselves into extremely distracted territory. We do have another Marvel Snap topic to talk about. I really wonder about like viewer habits here, because it's like what we've done is Marvel Snap for 15 minutes and then some other shit for 15 minutes. And I gotta imagine that like the correct way to structure this for retention is Marvel Snap for 45, some other shit for 45. But that's just not how my brain works.
Right. I don't know if the viewers know this, but we both have ADHD.
It's true. I'm not medicated either. So, you know. Yeah.
I am. And I went to the store to get my medication refill today.
Oh,
and I had to, because today was my last pill. I had no other choice. Because if I start a day with 0 pills, it means I'm not going to the store for at least 2 weeks.
Yeah. I never really liked the person I was on those medications personally. They didn't really have the effect of making me focus on work, or in this case, mostly when I was medicated was when I was doing school. They didn't really have the effect of making me focus on school in any real way, because all I wanted was to be like funny and have friends. And so they made me like hyper focused on that, which it turns out it's bad to do in school. Not a good combination, you know? Like if what you want is attention and you have a drug that is supercharging your brain, that's a bad thing to send to like a school. Like that's not a good idea. And so
I can see that.
Yeah, it's not something I ever like. Once I got, bodily autonomy, I just stopped taking the drugs. I'm thinking about like getting an appointment and going back to it. It'd be cool. Like maybe it'd be helpful to me in some way, but like I don't want to go, like I was on pretty heroic doses as a kid. It's just some numbers that I think were probably inappropriate, even if the diagnosis was correct, where it's like, that's a lot of this drug to give to a child. And
given what you do for work now,
yes,
I think that it would be helpful for you.
Because
like Snap is fun. And if you're taking it on days where you stream, that helps you be a little bit more like locked in and whatnot. I mean, maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. I don't know. I didn't stream a ton when I was medicated. I think I logged like 5 days total or something, and it did help. But depending on how locked in I got, for example, like I would just forget the chat existed. You know?
Like it is like a upside downside thing. I get like that anyway, though. The real argument for me doing it is that I sort of self-medicate with caffeine, which is almost certainly less healthy.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, like I developed tinnitus recently, and it might be related to that sort of self-medication. It's getting better. I think I actually also maybe just had like an ear infection, so we'll see. But yeah,
caffeine causes tinnitus?
Yeah, it's related.
What?
Yeah. It's not like
how is that
cause
possible?
That's like guaranteed or anything, but like there's some studies that suggest a causal link. Yeah.
Just blowing my mind.
Yeah.
Because
But yeah,
I get that shit, and I drink a lot of Red Bull.
it's entirely possible. There's a reason I'm using these headphones right now. These are like open ear headphones, so they're not
Mhm.
blaring into there. Like I'm taking some lifestyle changes, but like I had
Oh yeah,
what I'm realizing was like a combination of like taking a lot of caffeine, and I have like acid reflux a little bit, and that's also a bad combination of things to do, right? So I haven't like you were here like last podcast I was like pretty sick. You can confirm this. I
Mhm.
had to like stop the podcast to go be sick. And that was
Yep,
basically entirely down to acid reflux. So I'm trying to get a little bit healthier basically. And cutting caffeine, not all of it obviously because I'm hopelessly addicted, but
yeah,
like cutting it some degree, drinking tea instead of coffee. That's where I'm at.
dude. I actually did kick it for like 6 months.
Mm,
I cold turkeyed, went off it, didn't know that I would get a massive migraine, and
yeah.
was just like, God, why do I feel like shit for like 3 days in a row? And then it was just like, oh, okay, fine, I'm fine now. I will
Yeah,
just never have soda again.
my pre-workout has 380 milligrams of caffeine in it, and then also like
That's so
uh
much.
a bunch of DMAA and some other stuff, which is like an ingredient that got banned from pre-workout, which does beg the question of how I order this, and please don't ask. But it's an ingredient that got banned from pre-workout after a bunch of military guys took it and just like they just took too much jacked and had heart attacks, and so DMAA got banned.
Off podcast, remind me to tell you about supplement Magic Guy.
Oh my god, you can't tell me about it on podcast? I want to know so
No,
bad. Oh
I
god, I want to
because
know so bad.
we got 10 minutes left. Let's go. Let's talk about Corey.
Okay, we're gonna talk about Kahori. Uh, this card's gonna be sick,
She's
right?
dope.
Yes, like she's
She's
so
dope.
dope.
Uh,
What the?
I I don't know if she's like good, but I
I kind
think
of think she
she's really
is.
fun. But yeah, more more in the lines of 4 cost card that
Yeah,
buff
like
your
how
stuff.
can she
And
possibly be bad? She's a great four. You know, how is that possible for that card to be
yeah,
bad?
it does bear striking similarities to Gwenpool,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that those are positive comparisons
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. Gwenpool doesn't necessitate that you get your hand pretty low and like only pump your Shaw or whatever, but you can do that. I guess with this, you could play like nothing Shaw Kahori or whatever. But probably not the strongest would be my guess. But yeah, just maybe Gwenpool where you like then don't have to play out the cards if your hand is pretty full. Maybe you just play Kahori, pump some stuff. Hopefully it goes in the right spots or you're getting enough out of it that you don't really care. Uh Kate Bishop's best friends, I guess. And this is definitely worse, but a thing that I am pretty happy and excited about is like whenever I build a Wong deck, I feel like I have to include Ironheart, and that card sucks. So now I have better Ironheart.
Will this actually solve that problem though? Because it's like, okay, you have better Ironheart, but it's also like it costs one more, and part of the upside of the wall. You don't care at all?
It's not. I brought up Wong.
Right, it doesn't cost one more because you're zabuing both of them. Good
No,
point.
no, no. I brought up the card Wong, which also means I'm not planning on winning much anyway, man. We're talking about me. So there's EV, expected value, and then there's EF, expected fun. These are very different things. Wong is very much in the EF camp. Kahori with Wong significantly increases my EF.
Sure. I feel like in terms of EV, this is just the latest in a run of like it's literally impossible to make a 4-6 with this much upside and have it be bad. You just can't do it. Like
Yeah,
this is like a 412 that can't get Shang-Chi'd that you can like repeat on reveals on. Like just a whole bunch of shit here. Like, can you do stuff with Fire Hair Misery in this card? Like that's a
I
whole lot of procs. Is it
I
too
could see doing
many?
that.
Because like I know
Too
people tried it
many. What
with. Let me
does
rephrase.
that mean?
I know people tried it with Gwenpool, and it didn't work with Gwenpool because you can't actually play all of the cards.
Right. Yeah.
And so with this, it's just like that's just 10. It's just a shitload of power. But the downside of you have to blow up your 4/6 to make it happen is pretty real.
It is for sure, but yeah, either you need like a Shaw or a Fire Hair, probably. I think that might be it. I guess like Carter in theory, but that seems unlikely given that you're a misery deck. I don't know.
Yeah, like the thing about it is like, what if you don't need any of that shit? What if you literally just put Kahori in your V-Hand Misery Fire Hair deck, and she scales off of you creating cards because that's what you do anyway, and then you also get the ability to Misery her with Fire Hair. And it's like that, that's just like that's like the, not like an alarm going off over my head per se, but it's like, that's gotta be something. Like, that deck is already kind of decent. This is a card that hits both overlaps in the deck. Like, in as much as as a lot of Marvel Snap decks are two packages just thrown together, the overlaps usually in this case being like the hood or whatever, because it's a created card and also a misery target, right? Like, those are the overlaps. This is another card that is in that vein.
It is. It does not check both boxes, but it benefits from both. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, like, what I typically look for with new cards is a spot where it is filling a good role that wasn't previously filled in the deck, and also just good enough to be good on its own. And it feels like Kahori tick, like both of those cases.
Yeah, I do kind of wonder, like, if you draw Kate, you're kind of rolled up. I think you're just fine. You don't have to worry about it.
Not even a question.
Say you draw like the hood and nothing else really that creates cards. Like, how anemic are your Kahoris? How bad is that for you? Like, how many things, like, do you need to play Coulson, or could we just play like Iron Patriot Frigga alongside Kate and Hood? Like, is that good enough?
Yeah. Iron Patriot, Frigga, Kate, Hood. Those are my cards that make cards. You start at 4, right? You start at 4. Every card you play that makes a card is not actually playing a card, so it's not actually taking.
Well, hold up. We could get some Thanos in here. Could get some Agatha in here. Hold up.
I do like the Thanos thing, where it's just like that's kind of awesome. It's not Cope.
It's Cope.
Like, she probably goes in Thanos, dude.
She probably goes in Thanos, sure, but like, weren't you just making fun of all the people who are playing like?
No, the Fire Hair Misery Thanos is definitely ass. Like, it's definitely not.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying right now.
But you know what that deck does do is really win Thanos mirrors. Like, really, really win Thanos mirrors, because it's the Killmonger Thanos deck. Like, it wins the shit out of some Thanos mirrors. That could be relevant.
It could be relevant. It's still probably very relevant with all the ongoing stuff. I'm like, oh, they got ongoing thing, but it's like, all right, your Goliath the 2/4 or whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, the ongoing Thanos deck cares a lot about the stones being on the board, because it's like a Spectrum Blue Marvel deck. I mean, I guess they could play Kyera. Hell yeah, brother. That's an ongoing card. You can do it. You can do it. You can play it. They could do that. Go for it. Yeah.
Kyera is the exact type of card where it's like, yes, in theory, this is a good answer to Killmonger or whatever. But if I am at the point where I want to put Kyera in my deck, I simply will change decks. It's that bad.
Kyera is so cool because I've never seen a card that screams, this should have been a game event reward more than her.
Well, we didn't have those at that point, so
like, it's just,
that's probably why.
Like, she is the most King Atri card of all time, who I think of as sort of like the codifier of what that is, where it's just like, this is only ever good in a hyper-specific situation.
King Atri's tight.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's my guy.
I'm not really buying it, I think. I think King Atri is the exact example of like, this card does very little, but I'm very happy that it gets to do what it does.
It helps Agamotto a lot. I don't know.
I mean, I do think it's been pretty good in Agamotto, but like, the thing about it in Agamotto is like, it's also pretty replaceable. It's like, yeah, King Atri's good here, but like, you could play, I don't know, Quinjet, Zabu, right? And you're not playing 3/1s, so just pick 2 of 3, and you don't have to play him, you know? I think he's good, but still.
Yeah, man, you're right. I wasn't playing Zabu already. Wow, that's a great idea. Maybe I should put it in my deck. Because I already had 4/4s. What was I doing?
You have 2 slots for 3/1s. Maybe 4, depending on if you count Loki. It's like he's not even required in the deck that he has synergy with. And it's like, all right.
Okay, look. Sometimes you draw too many spells. E-Tree makes it so you're a little bit more likely to draw real cards, then your spells do stuff, and then he's a shitbag to images away.
Yeah, no, there's a good use case for him. It's just like, that's the one deck in which he is, like, what I'm saying is, like, that's the one deck in which he is a card that is a card that might go in your deck. But it's not like he's super busted in your deck. He is still comparable to the other 1-drops. It's just that in every other deck, he is not. In every other deck, he's like way worse.
The problem here, I think, is that I am a friendly whale, and I likely would have purchased him regardless if they tried to sell him to me.
I'm pretty sure I did purchase him. I'm like 95% sure I did not play that high voltage.
You are the friendliest of whales. I grinded that
modes.
Shit out.
I hate game modes.
I do too, man. I do too, dude. There's a dope Negasonic in Conquest this month. I check the variant every time, and I'm like, oh my god, they're about to make me play Conquest.
Has it happened?
Can I buy it? How much?
No.
Oh my god.
You literally can't. Like, you have to play Conquest.
Do they go on sale?
No, they're only from Conquest. Yes. You have
I don't have a Negasonic variant. And it's like one of the
play
Wii
Conquest.
Ones.
They got you.
I mean, I played one match and I won it.
That'll get you the variant.
In my gold thing.
Yeah.
I'm not even close. Not even close to being close.
I don't know how much Conquest you have to play to get the variant anymore, because it's been like a year since I even tried. Like
9 purchases, and it's just like, oh, like this thing costs 15, and then all the rest of them cost like 1,300. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah. I remember that dynamic. All right. With that, I think it's time to bring this one to a close. I can't wait to look at the retention graph for this episode, because I imagine it would look like this, where it just goes like, it's just like every time we start talking about not Snap, it's like, oh my god, KM's talking about trade relations. Oh my god, KM's talking about comic accuracy. There was some
other bullshit we talked about in there too.
Yeah, this is a long way of saying thank you.
Rant.
Yeah, thank you for anyone who made it this far, which
y'all are dope as hell, or you're asleep, in which case I hope
I mean, sweet dreams, I've been KMBest, he's been Gerry Thompson. We both wish you sweet dreams. Only if they are, I want you to be clear here though. If I show up in your dreams, you have to pay me licensing rights, okay? Like, you cannot plagiarize my likeness. If you do fan art of me, I will sue you, okay? Like, if you
he's doing his own tariffs now.
I was trying to do a bit about like the M'Baku fan art guy from last time. That's what I was trying to tie it back into. Like, I realized about halfway through that it didn't pay off, but I left it in here because, I don't know, there's like 4 people watching.
Did that guy not get paid, or at least not get a shout out? I don't know.
I was trying to play the part of like the evil corporation in this analogy.
Oh, word.
Where like what I was doing was like, you have to pay me a fee for even dreaming of my IP. How dare you? Like, that's where I was going with that. And I don't know. I feel like it obviously did not play. Otherwise, I wouldn't be saying the sentence that I'm saying right now. But I'm hoping I can salvage it by explaining the joke, and then people will be like, that's clever, instead of laughing at it. And really, that's all I want, is that validation in the first place. So it's kind of a win-win for me.
I think what happened is you just made people have very confusing dreams.
Hopefully.